What's up, everybody? I'm Brad Gagne, and you're watching Setting Up Your USB Microphone and or Audio Interface the Right Way. This is our first time in podcast movement, so let's take a second to get acquainted. I'm a product specialist at Mackie, and I've been in the music industry for over a decade now. I'm a sound engineer, producer, songwriter, and lover of all things pro audio. Also joining me today is another product specialist at Mackie, Ty Vaughn.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you, Ty.
Good to see you. How's everyone doing out there? Drop your comments. Let us know where you're from. We know this is a worldwide event, so go ahead and drop where you're from. Yeah,
definitely. Ty, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been in the audio industry for over a decade now, everything from live studio stuff to live sound stuff. And I've been with Mackie for about 4 years now. It's a great company to work for because our products are amazing and don't break. And I'm happy to be here today and dive into some of these products we'll talk about.
Built like a tank.
That's right.
Absolutely. So like you said, you might already be familiar with Mackie. We're a pro audio company that's been around for over 30 years. We burst on the scene in 1989, introducing our legendary LM1602 line mixer and never looked back. We're widely known for our live sound equipment, such as mixers and loudspeakers, and we're also known for our legendary recording gear, like our HR studio monitors that you see in post-production houses worldwide, and much more. Recently, we've introduced products such as headphones and microphones, and we're so excited to be a part of the creator space and to offer equipment that can help you explore what you're passionate about. So some of the topics we'll discuss today are setting up your USB mic, using an EM91CU. I'll show you how to set up the microphone in your sound preferences, how to set levels on a Mac, while also routing audio into Pro Tools, creating tracks in Pro Tools, and checking your meters. And we'll also mention the simplicity of gain setup and on our other Element USB models. Next, we'll get acquainted with the channel strips on an analog mixer, showing you the signal flow, gain staging, and much more using our ProFX V3 series. We'll also get into routing audio into Pro Tools and out of Pro Tools back onto our analog ProFX 12 V3 mixer. And then we'll go over the cables and things needed to set up a simple mix minus for your podcast, and we'll show you how to connect it all.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm actually really excited to see how a mix minus is set up. Essentially, a mix minus is where you use a cell phone or a caller in during your podcast, and the routing can get a little complex. So I'm glad you're going to dive in and show us how to do that today. I'm also very excited for the giveaway we're going to do at the end of this. So stick around. You don't want to miss it. We are doing a giveaway of our Mackie Performer bundle. That's the one you see popped up here. You're going to get everything from 2 of our dynamic microphones, a ProFX 6 mixer with a built-in interface, headphones, and all the cabling you would need as well. To enter yourself in for this giveaway, just drop us a comment here on PodMob. You can ask us questions. You can just let us know where you're from or just drop a comment. That'll get you entered. And feel free to ask questions throughout this presentation. We are going to do a live Q&A after this as well. So any questions you have, feel free to drop them in and we'll address them here at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Leave a comment in the comment section so you guys can get entered into the drawing for the giveaway. I mean, who doesn't want to win some free gear? I know I would. So leave us a comment. Let us know where you're at. We'll give you a shout out. And also, we're going to go through the presentation, and there will be a section towards the end for a Q&A for questions and answers. So just hang in there. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and drop them in the comment section. We're going to go ahead and get started here. So starting out with the EM91CU, which is the microphone that I'm currently using right now. This microphone is super simple to set up. It's plug and play. It's not difficult at all. I mean, literally all you have to do is plug this microphone into your computer, and it recognizes right off the bat. There's no drivers, no installation process required. You just got to select it in your sound preferences. This is an affordable, professional quality condenser microphone. It's rugged, reliable construction. It has a cardioid polar pattern, a USB connection, and a sample rate of 16 bits and 48 kilohertz. So this is already CD quality right out of the box. You just plug it in, you're ready to rock and roll. Like I said, there's no drivers, no installation process or anything like that. It's that simple, and it's really easy to use. As you can see, there's no controls on it or anything like that. So that's why I'm going to show you how to set it up and adjust the gain and do all that here in just a second.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, and like you're saying, there's no like controls I can see on that microphone. So it sounds like you would have to do it within software or within your computer. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're going to have to set it up inside the sound preferences of your computer. You can adjust the input gain, raise up the level of your gain stage or your preamp basically through the computer settings. This is just a bare bones microphone, large diaphragm cardioid polar pattern. Is perfect for recording vocals or acoustic guitar. And the simplicity of the microphone, just the ease of use is really simple. And I'm going to show you how to get it all set up. So let's check that out.
Awesome.
So we're going to go up to the Apple in the top left corner, hit System Preferences. We're going to go to our Sound Preferences. The Input tab, we're going to select the EM91CU microphone as our input device. And you can see the audio is coming through right now. And then right there, we can adjust the level, the preamp. So we can turn it up, turn it down, make sure that we're getting the proper level. And you can actually see the meter of the input level right below it. And that seems to be a healthy signal. We don't want to be clipping at the top or distorting the input. We want to give ourselves a little bit of headroom. And it's that simple. Really, that's it. So after we've set that up, we're going to go into Pro Tools, and we're going to open up Pro Tools. And I'm going to show you guys how to route audio into Pro Tools by creating a session, creating a track, arming the track, and getting audio into the program. So it just takes a second for Pro Tools to load. Once we're loaded, we've got to name our session. Go to the location folder. I'm going to save this to my hard drive. This is going to basically allow my computer not to become cluttered. You always want to name your project for organization purposes so you can find it later. I'm going to name this one EM91CU. The session is open. First thing I want to do is go up to the setup menu and do Playback Engine. And we're going to make sure that the EM91CU is selected as my playback device. That's basically telling the Pro Tools software that I'm recognizing my microphone. That's good to go. We also want to adjust the buffer size as low as possible for the computer, as long as the processing can handle it. That's going to allow us that we're not going to have any latency issues. We're going to go up to create. We're going to create a track. I'm going to name this one Voice. Boom, there we go. We're also want to go up to track and create a new one as well. We're going to create a master track. And this is going to allow us to check our master meters if we have multiple tracks in the session. But right now we're only using the microphone. We're selected as the input left, which is left is mono. That's input 1. We've armed the track for record ready. As you can see now, I'm talking into the microphone, and we can see the meters jumping up inside of the software. It's on loop record, so I could right click and just put play and take off the loop record and the loop playback. Hit record, hit play with the track armed and ready, record ready, and I am recording audio into Pro Tools. Perfect. So it's pretty simple, not very difficult at all right there. Now that the audio has been recorded, and if we want to bounce down the track, we can go up to the menu, select the file menu up here, and we're going to go to bounce to disk, and make sure everything's correct. Wave file. Just hit bounce. And now we're ready to go. So don't forget, guys, leave a comment in the comment section if you guys want to get entered into the drawing. We're doing a giveaway. So make sure you guys leave us a comment in the comment section there. So that's the simplicity of setting up your microphone inside of inside your DAW, Pro Tools, and then also setting up in the sound preferences of your computer how to adjust the input gain and get everything set and ready to rock and roll. So that was pretty simple, right, Ty? What do you think?
Yeah, no, you definitely explained it very well. And for those of you that have worked in studios before, Pro Tools is really the industry standard when it comes to recording audio and when it comes to DAWs. So thank you for showing that. And we'll probably discuss a little bit later, but our Mackie microphones and products that are studio related do come with Pro Tools first and a bunch of plugins. So that's super cool to see. And I see we got some microphones popping up here. What are those, Brad?
So these are our other USB microphones that we just released in the Element series. So we have the one that we just talked about, and the microphone that I'm actually using currently is the EM91CU. That's the second microphone right there. We have the EM USB, the carbon microphone, the Element Carbon, and the Element Chromium microphone. And those microphones, you're going to get a step up in features as you go up into the range there. So EM USB, as you can see, the next three models up actually have a gain control built right onto the microphone itself. And I just wanted to mention the setup is the same. So if you get either one of these microphones, setting it up in the sound preferences, also inside of Pro Tools, is exactly the same as we just showed you right there. But with the other microphones, you actually have the gain controls at your fingertips. So you can make adjustments from the microphone by turning up the microphone preamp or turning it down. You also have headphone output as well, so you can monitor yourself. Instead of plugging it into the computer, you can listen directly out of the microphone with no latency. So you get, as you move up in the feature set, and then as you get up into carbon, you're going to get multiple polar patterns. And then Chromium has the audio interface built into the base. So it's just a quick mention that these microphones are, as well as it's the same exact setup process that we just went through with the EM91CU, except for the other microphones have the gain controls right at your fingertips, so you don't even have to touch the computer.
Oh man, that's super cool. And like you're saying, they're USB microphones, so you plug them directly into your computer. It bypasses the need for like an interface, for example. Right. But say if I'm building a new podcast studio, already have one, and I have a typical XLR microphone, which most microphones are, and I wanted to use them in my podcast, is there an optimal solution you have for me when using XLR mics? Like a certain piece of hardware I would need to plug them in to get them into my computer?
Absolutely. You're going to need a mixer. And it just so happens that our new ProFX version 3 series actually has a USB audio interface built into the mixer. And this is perfect for podcast setups. I mean, you're able to plug in multiple microphones, get the audio into the computer. You can also route audio out of the computer. Like, let's say you've got your theme song, or maybe some sound effects, or some things like that. And this is what we're going to be showing you how to set up a mix minus. So this is the setup that you would want to use when setting that up. So our ProFX V3 is an awesome live sound mixer, but like I was saying, it's also an audio interface, and it would be perfect for your podcast. Using the Mackie ProFX 12 V3, I'm going to show you how to set it up as an audio interface, and we're going to go over the channel strip from top to bottom. So we're going to show you, Ty, how to set this up, and
awesome.
we're gonna go over the features of as well of the channel strip going from top to bottom, basically the signal flow.
Yeah, because with an analog mixer, you plug in the instrument or microphone at the top of the mixer, and all the knobs and functionality it hits all the way down to the fader is in line of how the signal flow actually works. So it'd be awesome if we could learn that from you. And the great thing is, too, once you learn one channel strip, you now know the whole input side of the mixer because they're all duplicates from each other. So I'm excited to see that. Also,
that's
just
perfect to mention.
Yeah, and just want to give a quick shout out. We have a guest from Montreal, Canada. So shout out to you, man.
Canada's in the house. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so the mixer could be a little daunting at first. You see all these dials, you see all the knobs, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what this looks like, a switchboard. I don't know what to do. It could be a little bit overwhelming at first. But as Ty was saying, if you learn one of these channel strips, you've learned the entire mixer. And I'm going to go over it from top to bottom and kind of give you a brief description of how the mixer works. So let's go over that. So starting at the top, you have your microphone preamp. This is an XLR combo input. So if you look at channel 1, channel 2, and channel 3, you can see 1 and 2 are different from 3 and 4. But don't worry about that. 1 and 2 are combo inputs. And what that does is it takes an XLR input, which is a microphone input, which what you see on channel 3 and 4, but it also takes a 1/4-inch input in the middle. So if you have a dynamic microphone that comes with a 1/4-inch cable, you could plug it directly into the middle of that. Or if you have a standard XLR connection, you could do that. So you can do either or. So that's your combo input that allows for both 1/4-inch and XLR. So it's perfect for your podcast microphones, whether they're dynamic or if you use a condenser microphone. These mixers do come equipped with phantom power, 48 volts, so you can use a condenser microphone as well. Next up, we have a high impedance input. This really wouldn't be used for podcasting, but it's a quick mention. You can actually plug a guitar or a bass directly into channel 1 and 2. Let's say a 1/4 inch TS cable. Plug a guitar, plug a bass in. It has a direct box built right into the mixer. You just hit the high impedance button right there, and you're ready to rock and roll. Super simple, easy to use, eliminates extra pieces of gear, and that's what the high impedance does. We have an insert. So if you have an effects chain that you like to use, let's say you're using a compressor, an outboard compressor or equalizer, and you want to run that on your vocal chain, we actually give you an insert where you can do that if you prefer to use outboard gear or if there's stuff that you like. So that's an insert for effects chains. We also have a low cut. This is going to roll out 100 hertz and below. This is perfect for your podcast and for vocals. Most voices don't go below 100 hertz unless you're Barry White, but this basically rolls out all the low end, all the ground rumble. It's going to tighten up your vocal, clean it all up, make it sound good, and you're not going to have any issues with noise or that low end rumble that you would get in those lower frequencies. So you want to roll that out for your vocal, and we give you that option right there on the mixer. Next we have is our preamp. The microphone gain stage. So mic gain is your preamp. A microphone signal is so low, it's a low output signal, and it requires a preamp in order to boost it to a proper listening level. So each microphone is different depending on the magnet they use, whether it has a hotter output or it has a lower output. So the microphone gain is important on setting your microphone level and getting it to a proper listening level. And this is not the volume, this is the gain staging of the microphone. It's basically the sensitivity of the microphone, how sensitive the microphone is going to be as you introduce more gain and boost up that preamp. Next to that preamp gain, we actually have a thing called level set, which is awesome if you're in a dark club. If you got people already moving around and you got to plug a microphone in real quick and you don't want to worry about blasting your speakers, or if you're in your podcast setting and you don't want to damage the guys' ears that are listening, you can actually adjust the microphone level, and that green light where it says level set will actually flash on and tell you when you're in a proper level. You'll be able to see that on the meters with the Pfl Solo engaged without actually sending the audio out. And that's basically perfect for setting levels without running sound out. So the level set is a good visual. Of course, we want to always use our ears and check our meters visually, but the level set is a cool feature to have. And then we have our compressor. This is a fixed 6-to-1 ratio. This basically is going to adjust the threshold. So the more compression I get, the lower the threshold goes, the more compression I'm going to get out of it. It's perfect for basically just adjusting it right off the fly. And what that's going to do is it's going to set a threshold and say, if your sound goes louder than this point, it's going to compress it and bring it down. It's going to level it out basically. And then if your sounds are quiet, let's say if you get real quiet and then all of a sudden you get really loud, it actually takes the quiet parts and brings them up in the loud parts and says, you're not going any louder. And it kind of levels it out for you. So you get a much more basically a less dynamic performance, but it's perfect for vocals and podcasting because, sometimes you may get excited or you may get quiet or things may happen. And during your conversation and your podcast, and a compressor is nice to have. It basically levels out the sound and keeps everything clean and nice and tidy, basically. So next up, we've got our EQ section. And this is a 3-band EQ. As you can see, the dials are currently set at U. That means unity gain. That means 0. And if you look down below the knobs, there's plus 15 to the right and negative 15 to the left. So if I turn the knob to the left, I'm actually cutting. If I turn it to the right, I'm boosting. And these are fixed frequencies. So at the high frequency range, you have 12 kilohertz, which is 12,000 hertz. The mid range, you have 2.5 hertz, which is 2,500 hertz. And then you have the low range, which is 80 hertz. And these adjustments can be done to kind of add a little shine to your voice if you'd like to add a little bit of air. The mid-range is where the meat is for the vocals. So that will, if you want to make a little boost there, you can do so. So you can make some adjustments with this EQ just to add a little bit of shine, or if you want it to cut through the mix a little bit clearer, you can do that for your listener. It's perfect for the podcast. Super simple to use. Fixed frequencies, so that you just either boost it or cut, and you can make those adjustments right there on the fly. Next up, we got the monitor section. So the green knob there is our aux send. This is what we're going to be using for our mix minus setup for our podcast. This basically allows you to pick individual channels and send them out the aux monitor send. So you can pick and choose which channels you want to go out that output. It's perfect for your mix minus setup, which we'll show you shortly. And we also have effects, built-in effects. So this has the Gig Effects processor over 24. It has 24 effects now, up from the previous model. And we have basically built-in effects where you can actually choose an effect through the effects processor and route that onto the mixer. And basically, if you want some good reverb, like a slapback, a plate, or a delay, whatever you'd like to do to kind of add some space to your voice and recreate that space, you could do so with some effects that we have built into the mixer. We also have a pan knob, of course. All mixers are going to come with this. The pan knob, if in the dead center, it's going to come out both the left and right channel. If we do hard left or hard right, it will only come out the left or the right output. For our podcast, we want to leave it in the center. That way it's going out both left and right. So you'll actually, when you're a listener or if you're listening in your headphones, you'll hear it through both the left and the right side of your headphones. So that's pretty cool there. Then next up, we have the mute button. This is an LED mute. If you're getting feedback or a guest is getting unruly, you can just go ahead and hit that mute button and that will mute them out. And it lights up with an LED, so that's awesome too. So visually, you could see that visually. Next up, we have our fader. Now, this is the volume. We actually have the decibels labeled next to it, but we have it set at unity gain. Again, that's 0 dB, so you're not going above 0 or below 0. You're right there at 0. But you can. This is where you would get your mix. So after you set up all your preamps and your gain stages of your microphones, this is where you would set the levels. One person might be louder than another. Their voice might be carry a little further, so you can make adjustments with the faders and make sure that everything balances out and everything comes together at a more even level playing field. And that's what the volume is going to be for the fader. Of course, if we have it all the way down, we're not going to hear it. And then we have our routing options. 1, 2, we have a subgroup on this particular mixer where you can subgroup it out of channel 1 and 2. Let's say you had multiple people on your podcast and you've got a good level for them. And maybe it's a group of people speaking and you just want to be able to, you've already set the levels. Well, you can send them out a subgroup 1 and 2, and then you have a master fader where you can, instead of taking all those channels and turning them down, you can just grab the subgroup channel and turn down the one, and it will turn down everything that's routed to that subgroup. Right below that, we have L and R, which stands for left and right. And that's for basically getting the sound out of the left and right output. So if you want to hear that in your headphones or if you're playing back through monitors or whatever you're using, you definitely want to make sure that that's engaged. That way you're routing it to the left and right output. And then below that, we have Pfl Solo. The Pfl Solo is pre-fader listen solo. This basically is going to solo the channel, and it comes down everywhere right before the fader. And what that allows us to do is, like I spoke about earlier, if you're using the level set, you've got people that have their headphones on and you don't want to blast their ears, you can turn the pre-fader solo on and make adjustments to the microphone and use the visual level set and see it through the meter without affecting the output. So that's pretty cool.
Yep, and don't forget to push out that pre-fader solo button once you're done with it, because it will mute all other channels. So make sure you pop that back out. And that was awesome. So that was the input section. So that's getting signal into the mixer. Could you show us how to get it out of the mixer?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to go into the outputs. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that too about the pre-fader solo. You're definitely going to want to turn that off when you're done. Yeah, so the main outputs right here, this is our output section. As you can see, it's labeled by L and R for left and right. And like we just spoke about earlier on the channel, if you want to get the audio out of these outputs, you need to select L and R on your routing options. And that's the LNR output. So you can use XLR outputs or 1/4 inch. If you're going to monitors or things of that nature, you can do so right there. You can use balanced or unbalanced 1/4 inch connections as well on the left and right. There's your phone's output right there. That's for your headphones. So your 1/4 inch headphones, like our MC100s, would be perfect for this. Or if you, any of the pair of our headphones would be great for this. Come with the 1/4 inch adapter that you can use with the mixer, and you're ready to rock and roll. We then have the headphone volume. So there's your phone's volume right there. And then this is a cool feature that no other mixer really offers in this range. We have a USB blend knob. So this allows us to listen to the input going into the mixer and the output of the mixer, or out of the computer back onto the board. So if I have all my microphones plugged into the mixer and those are my inputs, it's going into my computer. And let's say I have some backing tracks or like my theme music or some sound effects coming back out of the mixer from the computer, I can actually listen to my input and my output at the same time with this blend knob. This is an awesome feature, perfect for your podcast. Everyone's got their theme song, or maybe you've got like, some cool sound effects like explosions or car horns or fog horns, things that you use during your podcast. And that's all coming from the computer, or like a sampler that you have and you're using in your DAW. This is perfect for that, this blend knob. So this is a great feature that a lot of other mixers don't even offer. So quick mention on that one. And then to the phones and control room, this basically routing the audio to your phones and to your control room output. So if you want to get it to the headphones, you make sure you engage that button. And we've got your master fader, your main output. This is going to control the level right there, your main out.
Yep, that's great. And one mention on that main output fader there. So that is going to control the volume out to the speakers that you plug into those output jacks that Brad was just talking about. But when you are recording USB into your computer, it is actually pre-main fader. So all your volume adjustments are going to be off the channel faders, those input faders Brad was just talking about. This guy is just going to feed your monitor outputs. So thanks for that, Brad. And honestly, mixers, especially analog mixers, can look a little intimidating at first with all those knobs and faders. It looks like you're in a cockpit of an airplane or something. But now, like you were saying, like you learn that one channel strip. Now you know what every channel strip does for the whole input section. And then you taught us the output section. So that is essentially analog mixers in a nutshell. And if you haven't used one before, now you know. And if you're following along or you missed something, we are recording all of these live sessions and we will upload them to our YouTube page. So if you want to go back and watch this webinar, it's going to be on our YouTube page at Mackie TV. We'll have that offline for you. And also, I want to do a quick mention. We are doing a special giveaway at the end. We're doing our Performer Bundle package, which is essentially a couple microphones, one of these Pro Effects mixers that Brad was talking about here, pair of headphones, cabling, and all that stuff you would need. To sign up and to enter, all you have to do is just drop a comment here on the PodMob channel. Just drop us a quick comment that gets you entered. Also, we're going to do a Q&A at the end. So you can drop us a question that'll enter you as well. And we'll answer all your questions at the end. You got 2 product specialists at a pro audio company right here at your hands. So definitely ask those questions and we'll get them answered. But I'm kind of a visual learner, Brad, and everything you just went over was great. The PowerPoint was great, but I would kind of like to see what it would look like plugging in a microphone and actually getting the gain staging set up. Could you show us what that would look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the gain staging setup process of it is, plugging your microphone and getting everything set up that way. So we'll go over that in just a second. I got a cool thing I'll show you here. Yeah, like I said, man, learning the mixer could be a little difficult, man, at first. But, with YouTube and our great content that we have on Mackie TV on our YouTube channel, check us out and subscribe there. You guys can get all the latest content and drop comments, man. Let us know what videos you're looking for. If you're having trouble with a certain situation, we would love to make a quick tech video to help you guys out using our gear and show you how simple this stuff really is. And, we went to school and got education for this stuff, but man, you could really learn all this stuff for free on YouTube nowadays. And Mackie TV is a perfect place to check out. So let's go ahead and show you guys exactly how to do this. So we're going to show you guys how to set the gain staging and how to set levels right now. You got your microphone. Got to plug it in. Oh, wait, there you go. Got to match it up first. We got our XLR output right there of the microphone. We just match it up with the 3 dots on the mixer there. That's that universal input, and plug it into the XLR input right there. I have the pre-fader listen solo engaged, and you can see that little red dot right here on the mixer over here that's actually engaged. So I'm turning up the gain and I'm talking into the microphone. You can see the meters jumping, and there you go. You start to see that little level set light right there start lighting up. That's basically telling me that, hey, I've got a good listening level right there and it's good to go. That's pretty much it right there for that one. It's that simple. Literally, I turned on the pre-fader listen solo, plugged it in, turned it up, and turned up my mains now, turned off the Pfl Solo, and the level set, as you can see, it's good there, and we're good to go. Now, if you're going into the computer, like he was saying earlier, it's pre-master fader, before the master fader. So we want to make sure we're below 0 dB before going into the computer. The level set's good for live settings, but we're doing your podcast. But when recording into the computer, we want to make sure that we're not distorting. So we're going to go ahead and cut that back a little bit and just make sure that our levels are below 0 dB. Also, the compressor right here at this point will set that threshold and allow us, if we're just tapping out at 0, we can kind of crank up that compressor, level it out, and without adjusting the gain, can compress the signal a little bit, and that can help with bringing it down just right at that 0 range, or tapping out before we clip over 0 dB. So going into the computer, you definitely want to set it up like that. Just make sure you're below 0 dB, and it's really that simple. I don't really add EQ right off the bat. Usually you could either do that in post production, or if you want to add a little bit of flavor with the EQ, you can do so. And that's pretty much it. It's really that simple for the setup. And
yeah, that is nice and simple. And like we're saying, you know, every channel strips a duplicate. So if you want to add more microphones, if you want to add in a line input, say you're plugging in a phone that's playing music, once you know one channel strip, now you know all the others. And the cool thing about the ProFX mixers too is it's really nice and color coded. Like I'm seeing it now, you know, your EQ knobs are blue, your monitor sends are green. So if you're in like a low lit studio, it's super easy to see where everything's at. Even the mute buttons have an LED light behind it. When you engage it, you can see a channel's muted. So that's super useful. But like we were talking about, there's a built-in USB interface in these ProFX mixers, and that's what gets the analog signal, the acoustic sound of your voice, into the computer by doing an analog to digital conversion, which turns that acoustic energy into ones and zeros, and then you get it into a software. So could you show us what it would like getting this signal into the computer and into like a software, say like Pro Tools?
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to show you guys how to set this up in your sound preferences, how to route the audio and everything. So let's get into that. Okay. So first things first, we got to open up Pro Tools again. It does take a second to load. Again, we're going to name our track, make sure my location folder, I'm already saving it to the hard drive, so we're good there. We'll name it ProFX 12. Open up the software. We're going to go up to the setup menu again and go to Playback Engine. Make sure the ProFX is selected as my playback device in the Playback Engine, which it is. We're going to go to the I/O in the setup menu. I'm going to select the input path, and I'm going to delete it and delete this path, and then basically hit default. And this is going to set up my input and output. Do the same thing for the input tab. Delete the path and then set it up as the default. And what this does basically is tells the computer, these are my inputs and these are my output paths. And that way everything is recognized, because I'm going to be routing audio out of it back onto the mixer as well. Go up to the track menu, create a new track. We're going to name that voice. This is for recording the voice of your podcast from the mixer, so the microphone going into the computer. And then we're going to create another track here. We're going to make this one stereo. And this one's going to be like our music, let's say our theme song. If I want to get my theme song from the DAW back onto the mixer. I'm going to route that out the 3-4 output, and then I'm going to run to do my master output stereo, and the master fader is going to give me a representation of all the tracks that I have in my session to make sure that I'm not clipping over 0 dB and have nice healthy levels going back on to the mixer. So I'm opening up my iTunes folder. I'm going to find a song here. I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop it into my DAW. Let's say this is my theme song. And DAW just stands for Digital Audio Workstation. For those that don't know, there's many DAWs out there. This one we're using currently is Pro Tools. And just wait for the track to load up in the software, and we're good to go there. We're going to go to output, and we're going to select 3-4. And now I'm telling the computer, Pro Tools, I want to route that particular audio track out of output 3 and 4. So I have on my voice track, I have analog 1 selected. That way I'm recording the audio coming in from the mixer into the DAW. And I'm going to go ahead and hit record and play. And now I'm actually recording audio from the mixer into the DAW. And that's how you get sound from an analog mixer that has an audio interface built in right in. And then you can see that I've routed audio 3-4 back onto my mixer. I just push that button there. And then inside my DAW right there, that's the audio being routed 3-4 output back onto the mixer. So if I have my theme song or if I've got sound effects, I can route that out of output 3-4 from your DAW, and that's going to go back onto the mixer. So I can control the level with the fader. I can turn it up, turn it down. And that's how it will also get to your listener. So if you are setting up a mix minus for your podcast and you want your listener to hear all the sounds coming from the computer, like sound effects or theme music, that's how you route the audio from your DAW on your analog, on our ProFX mixer.
That's excellent, Brad. Yeah, and like the ProFX mixer, you do get all those added benefits of having the EQ built in right on the board, the compressor, and all the routing options. But you could also use a standard USB interface, such as our Onyx Producer and Artist series. Essentially, those simple 2x2 interfaces, those little boxes set on your desktop, and you plug it in a microphone, goes USB into your computer. But the routing is essentially the same, like you just showed. You just won't have that USB 3.4 playback. You'll just have one playback on those simple interfaces. So the added benefit of going with a mixer over the little interfaces is having that extra, playback stereo channel, as well as all the onboard effects you can do. So just wanted to mention that. And also, like we mentioned before, the USB mics, those bypass the interface and the mixer that we mentioned today and go directly in your computer, and all the processing would have to be done in the software. So just want to throw that out there, and that's excellent. And we mentioned this before too, doing a mix minus, right? Like getting a phone into your podcast, a caller in, the routing can be pretty complicated. So could you show us what the routing would look like for that, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to mention too that there might be, there's some advantages of using the mixer over like a USB microphone, for instance, or the audio interface, like he was mentioning. If you want to use the EQ or the built-in compressor, let's say you're not too familiar with how to use the DAW, use Pro Tools yet, and you do know how to use an analog mixer, there are some benefits. And if you have multiple microphones, let's say you've got 4 people in your podcast, we've seen Joe Rogan's podcast. He's got multiple guests on at a time. Let's say you're doing something similar to that. A mixer would be important if you need multiple inputs and you want to be able to control everything at your fingertips from the mixer. There are some benefits that you would get by using the analog mixer with the USB audio interface built in. And then there's some other giveaways that you're not going to get. But for doing the podcast, the mixer is a wonderful solution. Now you can use an audio interface, you can use a USB microphone, but you got to kind of weigh your options out and see exactly what you're trying to do and where you're trying to grow your channel to, and see what best fits the needs that you have. But I'd love to show you, Ty, how to do this mix minus setup. This is one of the coolest things. A lot of people, this kind of gets confusing, when you see a mix minus. I'm going to show you all the stuff that you need. And what a mix minus basically is when you give a mix to your listener minus his own voice. And that's where the term mix minus comes from. What you're doing is you're giving an entire mix of the mixer sent to the phone call or to the listener on the phone minus their own voice. And why you say minus the own voice is because you could create a feedback loop. If I sent the listener his own voice back to him, there could be a little bit of latency, and it could cause a feedback loop, and he could be speaking and hear himself delayed, and that would be really irritating. So you don't want to do that. You want to basically send everything over to the listener minus his own voice, and that's where the term mix minus comes from. And I'm going to show you the everything that you're going to need to set up a mix minus properly. So we're going to go over the cables and the connections here. Oh, there we go. I had to hit play. So you need your microphone, of course, or multiple microphones, depending on how many you have. You're going to need a headset adapter. I'm using an iPhone, so I've got the Lightning to headset adapter. You're going to need, this is one of the most important cables, is the splitter cable. This is a TRRS. It's tip, ring, and sleeve. Gives you left and right and the microphone. So you've got our microphone channel and our speaker channel, and it's split from that TRRS cable. And that's going to allow us to send the output of the phone and then also route the audio back in to the phone. So you connect the adapter there. You're also going to need a 3.5 millimeter to a dual 1/4 inch. This is going to allow us to plug the audio out of the speaker output and plug that directly into the. And then next, we're going to need our 1/4 inch to TRS cable. The 1/4 inch to TRS connection right there, that's the XLR male to a 1/4 inch TRS. And that's going to allow us to route out of the aux output. Oh, sorry about that. It looks like we're having a little issues with the video there. But yeah, 1/4 inch to XLR male. This basically allows us to route the audio out. And then you need your standard, you're going to take the XLR male to the splitter cable. And then we cannot forget the XLR microphone cable that we will need to plug our microphone into the mixer. Just a standard XLR. So those are all the cables and things that you need to set up a proper mix minus. And then I'm going to show you how to connect it all.
Yeah, now that we know all the cabling we would need, of course, we're going to have to know the signal flow and what the routing and where to plug in all those cables. Could you show us what that would look like, Brad?
Yep, let's jump right into that. So starting with the microphone, we've already did the level set last time, so you could see the gain staging and the compressor is already preset. You're going to plug your XLR into the microphone again, and then we're going to plug it into the mixer. Oh. Make sure our levels are still good. You can see the meters coming through, talking through the microphone. You can make adjustments on the compressor. You want to add a little more compression. Get the cable out of the way so you guys can see. Okay, so we've got the microphone set up. If you're using multiple microphones, the same process goes through for each microphone. We've got our headset adapter. And we're going to plug that into our iPhone. There's our TRRS cable, tip, ring, sleeve. That allows for left and right channel of audio and the microphone. That's the TRRS cable. plug that into the adapter that goes into the phone. And we got to get the audio out of the phone. So we have our mic and then we have our speaker output. So we're going to take that other cable, the 3.5 millimeter stereo 1/8 inch jack, plug out of the speaker output. And then it's a dual 1/4 inch cable. And right is red, left is left, and then right is always red. So remember that. And then on the 1/4 inch inputs on our mixer, we're going to bring that sound into the mixer and we're going to plug in left and right is red. So we match that up. That's our stereo connection. That's going to take the audio out of the phone back into the mixer so we can actually listen to the caller. Now let's say we want to get the microphone signal. We want to route our microphone signal to the caller so he can listen to us. And that's where we're going to use the monitor send. Looks like we're having a little trouble with our video there, but so that is well, you're supposed to route out of the aux output. I guess we're having a little trouble with the video there, but you route out of the aux output and use the monitor send, and then you turn it up on the particular channel that you would like to use to route the audio back into the phone caller. So you take that connection and you go out of the aux output or monitor output, which then feeds the signal back to the caller. And that's how you set up a mix minus.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, mix minuses can be complicated, but showing us the exact cables we need and what the routing looks like. Thanks, Brad. That was actually very useful information. So the awesome thing is we have a ton of questions coming in and we'd like to get to them. And right now would be actually a good time, but just a quick reminder, we are doing a free giveaway at the end of this presentation. We're doing a full performer bundle by Mackie. Everything in that bundle is 2 dynamic microphones with the mic clips and cabling you would need, a ProFX 6 mixer like we were talking about before with the built-in interface, and a MC100 headphones with all the cabling you would need. To enter, just drop us a comment, ask us your questions. We have a ton coming in, so we'll go ahead and get started. Let's take a look here. All right, Brad.
All right.
So this is
thanks for your questions, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, this is from Stephen Phillips. So what type of FX does this do? Is it like from Audition, but on the board? I think he's referring to the effects on the ProFX.
Yeah, I would tell him it's got like it's like your standard wet effects. You know, you've got reverbs, you've got delays, you've got from plates, from long hauls to short hauls. There's 24 different effects on there. So yeah, your wet effects, it's very similar to what you would have in your DAW. And it's built into the mixer. You've got 24 of them. So there's multiple that you can choose from. And absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Steven.
And we're giving away a performer bundle, right? And that mixer that comes in there has those 24 effects in there. So thanks for the comment, man. You've been entered into the contest. You could be getting one of those.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the question, Steven. All right, we got a 2-parter here, Brad. This is from Anthony. I really wish more audio component companies would create video specific for podcasters. If I had unlimited money, I'd buy these and do it myself. A vast majority of questions I get from friends and fellow podcasters is handling sound routing. Yeah, and that's a great inquiry there. You know, like we mentioned before, we have our Mackie TV page on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, type in Mackie TV. We have a ton of awesome videos showing you how to set up your podcast studios with USB mics, interfaces, and mixers. We have our special series Made on Mackie, as well as quick tech videos, where Brad and I dive in, as well as our other product specialist, Jamie, on how to do all those things. So you don't need to go out and get a college degree like we did on audio. You could actually just go to our YouTube page and learn a lot of information there. So,
and we appreciate the question too. So let us go to our page on Mackie TV, drop us some comments and let us know, hey, can you make a video about this? We would be happy. You know, a lot of what we went over today was signal routing and going over the mixer and how to set it up inside of Pro Tools. You know, we're with our bandwidth on the internet here. Sometime with all these people on here could be a little glitchy, but we would love to create a video and give that content directly to you guys to really help you out and make your process easier and showing it using Mackie gear. I mean, that's the most important. We're using awesome gear. The people that create this gear are musicians themselves, and people that do podcasts and things of that nature. So they use the gear, they know what you're looking for, and we create it with you in mind. So that's the whole process.
Yep, definitely. Thanks for that question, Anthony. All right, we have another question here, Brad, from Craig James. So I have a Tascam DR40 portable recorder with 4 channels / XLR ports. Can I use this as an interface via USB connection to my Mac? And there's a second part here. I've heard yes, but have been having a hard time setting it up.
Yeah, you should be able to. I'm pretty familiar with that particular handheld recorder. It could be used as an audio interface. I mean, a Mackie mixer would be better. You know, you got your EQ and compression at your fingertips. But same process. You connect it to the computer. Go to your sound preferences. Make sure that you select it as your input and output device in the computer. Should be class compliant, but you may have to go and download a driver or something. I'm not sure what version you have. But you could usually find that on the manufacturer's website. But yeah, you should be able to use that. But like I said, one of our Pro FX mixers, like a simple Pro FX 6, wonderful with EQ. You've got the effects in it and all those features that the other thing's not going to give you at your fingertips. So,
yep,
thanks
definitely.
for your question.
Yeah, thanks for your question, Craig. So we have another question here from Anthony. I'll go ahead and answer this one here. All right, so Anthony asks, and all these great mixers that only have 2x2 in and out over USB is exceptionally annoying. There's a second part here. Why bother having 14 million channels on a USB mixer if it's going to downmix everything so I can't record separate channels in my DAW? So this is a great question, Anthony. So this is something we discussed in our last webinar we did last week. So a Pro FX mixer that we have is a 2x4 interface, actually. It does get it gets a stereo channel into your computer, but it does 2 playback channels in stereo. So if you do have like more than 2 microphones, you are going to get a stereo mix of all those microphones. So if you're mixing it later in post-production, you are going to have some restrictions when you're mixing because it is a stereo sum. But the added benefit of it, if you are doing live streaming, having all those controls at your fingertips at the analog mixer itself when you're live streaming is great. The application sounds like you're talking about is post-production when you mix it later and then send it out on a streaming platform. But when you're live, this is great. And also if you're only using like 2 microphones and some music and you dial it in really well in the mixer, that's a great added benefit. But there are multi-track recorders out there. This is what we mentioned in our last webinar. We have our DL series. So if you look Mackie DLS on our website or search the web, those are multi-track recorders. So they're essentially I/O boxes you plug in. We have a 16 channel and a 32 channel. Plug in all those inputs that you want, and then that gets it to your computer, and everything shows up on its own track. So in post-production, you can mix it later. And we are going to upload that webinar we did on our YouTube page soon. So check out Mackie TV to find that. So that's a great question. And
Anthony, I'll just say too, we get that a lot. A lot of people are looking for an analog mixer that does multi-track recording, and so that's something to look forward to. You know, there could be things coming down the pipe that will give you those benefits. Now with the Pro FX, you can do 2 channels of multi-track. What you have to do is you've got to, if you're plugging into channel 1 and channel 2, you actually have to pan the channel hard left for channel 1 and hard right for channel 2. And you will, inside of your DAW, get 2 separate tracks. Now, if you have more than 2 microphones, you're not going to get multi-track, unfortunately, currently with that particular model. But what you're asking for is something that could be coming very soon. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I think Brad just gave a little hint there. Be on the lookout for a future Mackie product here soon that might be able to do what you're asking for there, Anthony. So you're getting an exclusive look here at Mackie. All right, so we got one more question here for you, Brad, also from Anthony. So let's pop this up. So how difficult would it be to build in a USB port specifically for phones so we can avoid all these adapters and the interface introduced by them? I think he's referring to the Mix Minus.
Well, that might be a good product, I mean, to create. If you're looking for something like that, maybe a headset with the microphone built in and you've got all that with the USB audio interface connected into the cable. That's a great idea. But it just gets to the point. I mean, if you're a solo, doing your thing solo, that could be good. But if you are running a podcast where you're having guests on, or you're having multiple people speaking, coming to the set, or things of that nature, it depends on what you need for your particular product. But hey, man, that's an awesome concept. We might send that up to our product development and product management team and see what they think about that one. Thank you for that, Anthony.
Yeah, another little hint, maybe a Mackie product that would be a solution for that is coming along. So definitely stay tuned. We have we always release products throughout the years. So coming into the new podcast market like we are now, definitely expect some new products that could have a solution to what you guys are talking about. So thanks for all your questions. And like we've mentioned before, we are going to do a giveaway here at the end. So let's go ahead and dive in to see. Brad, do you want to mention what we're giving away today?
Yep, we've got the Performer bundle here. So you're going to get one of those awesome Pro FX mixers. It's actually the 6-channel, which I love. It's super tiny, compact, awesome. It's got the USB audio interface. You're going to get 2 dynamic microphones, 2 EM89Ds, which are similar to like your SM58s. Industry standard, great microphones from Mackie. They come with the clips and they come with the cables in the box. We're going to give you everything that you need right out of the gate. Not only that, but I know Ty mentioned earlier, it actually comes with the software. We give you 2 softwares, $500 worth of stuff. So you got, you're going to get Pro Tools and also Waveform OEM with a plugin bundle. So we're going to give you all that included in this free giveaway. So thank you again for dropping your comments and participating in the event. And we're going to pick a winner here shortly.
Yeah, definitely. And right before we pick a winner here, I just want to give a quick reminder here this Thursday, 10/27 at PodMob, we are doing a live taping episode of our Ins and Out podcast. We've already filmed 16 episodes, I believe, our Ins and Out podcast. It's on our YouTube channel and everywhere you would find your podcasts, such as Spotify and iTunes. It's a great podcast series. Our host, Jamie Hernandez, who is a fellow product specialist of ours here at Mackie, interviews some great Macoids and some artists and other industry professionals. And it's an excellent podcast to watch and listen to. And everything's being recorded on our Mackie products like mixers and microphones. So you can hear what that quality sounds like with our products. So just wanted to give a shout out there. In 2 days on Thursday, we are going to do a live taping of the Ins and Out podcast. So thank you for your comments. We got a lot of entries and I think we're ready to pick a winner. All right, drum roll. Brrr. Nice drum roll. There it is. And it looks like it's Craig James. You are our winner today.
Congratulations,
awesome.
Craig.
Yeah, thanks for your great questions too, and thanks for entering. We're going to get you hooked up with this Performer bundle you see above us. To claim your bundle, make sure you email us at podcast@mackie.com. Go ahead and email us there, Craig, and we'll get you taken care of with our Performer bundle.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again. Thank you everyone for your questions. They're really helpful. And if we weren't able to get to your questions or get them answered, please find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Mackie Gear. You can also visit our website and reach out to support@mackie.com for any technical questions that you need answered. And we're really glad you joined us today. We'd love to hear your questions and answer them in future videos and webinars or in other fun ways. So speak up and let us hear your thoughts. Don't forget to check out our own podcast, The Ins and Outs with Mackie, on YouTube at Mackie TV or on virtually every platform podcasts are found. And if there's any other product that you want us to make, leave it in the comment section. And thank you, Anthony, for that comment earlier. We'll definitely get that up to our product team. And again, I'm Brad Gagne.
And I'm Ty.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around. Everyone have a great rest of your day at PodMob.